Welcome once again to Octane Mobile Gaming with your host, Octane. The deck is out for the next event, and the deck is really a good deck. It's got the same mechanics as the BioBlitz deck and the hard-won Gorilla deck. And this is a mechanic that I really and truly love. I think it's the best mechanic in the game at the moment. So we're going to have a look, and then we're just going to speak just a bit about the deck itself. So what we're going to do, we're going to start first with my favorite card, which is a support card. This is a 4-star stats, and it will create 8 light power gems and heal for 5000% of recovery, which is really great. Any card that can create gems and heal your deck is a really good card. And this support card is really a good support card. It's also an attacker, which means it will put out far more damage than a warrior. So a warrior will normally have high health and low attack, but this one being an attacker, it will have a higher attack rate and lower health, which it matters when it comes to damage output. So you will get far more damage output from this support card, which is really good. So if you're a free to play player and you've got a few cards that can create power gems, this is a card that can be added to your deck and you can do quite a bit of damage. It won't do as much damage as, say, the event card, ultra rare, master collection, so on and so forth, but as a support card it can put out quite a bit of damage. Plus it's got the 10 times boost, which is really good, and it heals the deck. So it's a good support card to have. 2 or 3 of these would work quite well. Next card up will be our main card, and the main card is also an attacker, which is really good. So if you can look at the base stat, this one has got 2191, whereas the support card, let's look at the 5-star stats. Support card has got 3655. That's the 5-star stat. When it goes up to 6-star, it will be a bit more damage. This one, the event card, this is a 4-star stats, so it's 2191. When it goes up to 5-star, it will be round about similar damage attack output as the event card. But the difference between the support card and the main card or the event card is that the event card has got what you call a double damage. So it deals damage during the main attack, and then after the main attack it deals back 75% damage, 75% of the main damage that you dealt during the your main attack. This is really good, but with this particular deck it's not as powerful as, say, your BioBlitz deck. With the BioBlitz deck, what would have happened is when you use 3 keys, the damage output of the nuke would be 5 times. But with this one, it's 150% regardless of if you use 1 key or if you use 3 key, which is really a bummer really, but it's still a great mechanics and it's still a good deck. So if you got 2 copies of this particular card, the main card, with, say, 3 copies of the support card, that would be a great deck to have. So as a free to play player, if you've got the gems, then you could get a guaranteed copy of this from the master pack and get a second copy from the 5-star collection and, say, 3 copies of the support card. That's a great deck. That's a deck that can do quite a bit of damage. So let's have a look at the main card battle skill. So it creates 3 light power gem 1s and receive a bonus attack buff for 1 turn. This bonus attack buff will deal 75% of the damage of the main attack. So this card is really good. This deck is really good. Not as powerful as BioBlitz deck, as I said, but it is still a very powerful deck and still a deck worthy of having. I really want this deck regardless of if the free key doesn't boost the nuke damage as it does with the Bioblitz deck. I still would like this deck. I still think it's a deck worthwhile having. You can combine this deck with different cards and you get massive damage output and a good result. So let's have a look at our ultra rare. So our ultra rare will create 3 light power gem 2s. The Bioblitz ultra rare only create 2 light power gem 2s. And increase light slayer attack up to 20% for 1 turn at a rate of 5% plus an additional 5% per 100 skill points. And its chaotic killer is your killer skill this week. So if you can get the ultra rare from the ultra pack, with the new crystal event system, you can go into the master pack and you can pull the master collection card. You can go into the ultra pack and you can pull ultra rare, which is really good in a sense. So you can manage to get the ultra rare from the ultra pack on the first, second or third tier, which would be really good. It will produce a bit more power gem. So if you can get event card, ultra rare, 2 or 3 copies of the support card, you've got a deck that can actually do quite a bit of damage in the event. Master collection card, one of the cards that I really want. It creates 3 light power gem 4s. Hardworn Gorilla and Bioblitz create 2 power gem 4s. This creates 3 power gem 4s. So in regards to power gem, it does create a bit more power gem, which would give a bit more damage output of the deck. And it receives the bonus attack buff, and the bonus attack buff will deal 150% of the main attack, which is really good. But it would only deal at 150% regardless of if it's 1 key or 3 keys. But the deck is still worthwhile having. I'm investing all my dust in this deck. I haven't got much gems, so I'm primarily reliant on dust. So I've got a bit of dust. I did go through the master pack, go up to the 3rd tier, and I did get a bit of dust. So I'm hoping that I can collect the rest of dust from the collection. So it's got a passive. Every 4th turn, create 3 light power gem 2s and dispel 1 enemy buff, which is really good. Your ultimate form, Relentless Scholars, and your Relentless Scholars will create 3 light power gem 4s and 4 light power gem 2s and receive the attack bonus buff as well, and it will also deal 150% of the main attack. It's got the passive, which every 4th turn it will create 3 light power gem 2s as well. So as you can see, it's upgraded in a sense where it produces more power gems, but it's been nerfed in the sense that it doesn't get that 3 key boost to the nuke damage, which it doesn't really matter to me. I think it's a good mechanic, and I think it's a deck worthwhile getting. Basically, if you can get the full deck, it would be lovely. If you can't get the full deck, if you can get the master collection card and the event card, that would be good. Whatever you can get from this deck, it will be worthwhile getting from this deck. If you've got the gems, invest the gems in this deck. If you've got the dust, invest the dust in this deck. It's a deck worthwhile getting. With a deck like this, you would need cards to help you to spawn power gems. Because with my Bioblitz deck, I had Elbutricious Decay and Soul Reaper to boost the damage output by producing power gems. With my hard-won Gorilla deck, I had Grove Guardian and Satyr of Farm Route, and they boost the deck by again producing power gems. With this deck, there is no cards within the light affinity that does that, that has that type of mechanics. So if we take a look at the light affinity, there are cards that can be added. You can, if you manage to get the event card, the main card, or the master collection card, you could add it to the Hellboy deck if you've got the Hellboy deck. If you haven't got the Hellboy deck, you probably would be looking for cards that can produce power gems that's not intensity dependent. So I've got a few cards that are intensity dependent, like this one, Dina Inverted Archer. This one is intensity dependent. It can fill the board with power gem 2s, but it takes a while to get intensity up. So you would primarily be looking for cards that can create power gems that's not based on intensity. One of the card is this one, Divine Glory. It will create one power gem 3 and one additional for every 5 light gems that's on the board. So if you can fill the board with light gems, this will give you up to 8 power gem frees. And you could pair this one with Plague Seraph, which is the ultra rare for that deck. If I can actually find it, there is Plague Seraph. I've got 3 copies of a Plague Seraph, 1 copy which I got from the Dust Store. So you can get this card from the Dust Store, which will create power gem 2s. So it will create 1 light power gem 2 and 1 additional light power gem 2 for every 5 light gem that's on the board. So if you can get a copy of this from the Dust Shop, it would be worthwhile getting. And it's also a gem rainer, so it's got passive at the beginning of every turn. Every stack of blessed intensity moderately increase the drop rate of light gems. Paired with Marte Thronos, which is a gem destroyer, and I love my gem destroyer. You can destroy the gems and get a few light gems on the board. Then you can activate your support card, get a few more light gems, then use the Plague Seraph, and if you've got the event card or the master collection card, depends on what you've got, then you can fill the board with gems, power gems, and then you could get a massive damage output, and the nuke damage as well would be quite good. So it's a really good deck to have, this deck this week. So I'm going for this deck. I haven't got any gems, as I said, but I'm still going in with all my dust, and I'm investing all my dust in this deck. There's a few more cards you could get from the Dust Shop as well. I think is Masterful Teacher, does the same thing as Plague Seraph. So Masterful Teacher is a card that you could use. You could use if you've got, say, the event card, one support card. You could add Orion, which is a gem fall. It's actually a commander and a slayer, along with Marte Thronos. If you haven't got Marte Thronos, which is really a good card, it cleanses and it destroys. It cleanses, it heals, and it destroys destroys gems, which is really good. So it does 3 things that is absolutely brilliant. But if you haven't got Marte Thronos, you could use this one. It's a commander slayer card. It's Loga. And Loga is a gem destroyer, but it is not as powerful as Marte Thronos, but it's still a valuable card to have. You could use Indale as well to produce gems along with the support card, and then use Plague Seraph or Masterful Teacher. Is loads of option. You could use Ogre along with its support card, its counterpart, which is well, it's a goblin deck really. Can't remember what it's called now. My mind has just gone total blank. Here it is. Orsang. You could use Orsang along with Ogilvy. If you activate Ogilvy and then Orsang, Ogilvy will actually mimics Orsang's battle skill. So Orsang actually creates two power gem ones, two power gem 2, sorry, and Ogilvy will actually mimic his battle skill. Let's see what he does. And this card I actually got from the dust shop as well, so you can get this card from the dust shop. I'm trying to get a second copy. It's very difficult to get, but I'm still trying nevertheless. So it destroys all non-light gems, so it's a gem destroyer, which is really good. And for every gem destroyed, create one light power gem 2. It's passive. If there are 4 or more light power gem 2 on the board, mimic Weller, which was the event card for this deck, skill upon cast, and mimic Orsang battle skill upon cast. So it will mimic Orsang battle skill upon cast. So you activate this one, then you activate Orsang, and it will create an additional 2 power gem 2s. So there's a couple of cards, well, not a couple, a few cards that can be used in combination with the new deck to actually create a bit of power gem on the board. If you use card like Apollo and Setting Sun, it takes the deck from a 2 or 3 turn deck to probably a 7 or 8 turn deck, which doesn't really work well in a Slayer event. You want a deck that is quick, you want a deck that is powerful, so you don't really want to use cards that are intensity dependent. So all you need to do is just mix and match cards. You've got another gem destroyers, Blazing Condor. So Blazing Condor will actually destroy all non-light gems on the board, and for every 2 gem destroyed, it will heal for 50% of recovery and generate 2 creature intensity. It's passive. For every 10 power gem 1s or higher on the board, increase creature intensity. But this deck is not a creature deck, but you could use this deck along with a Gem Rainer to actually create some gems on the board and some power gems on the board. So this card is a Gem Rainer and a Gem Spawner. So those are just some suggestion for the deck. I've got the full Hellboy deck, so I will be playing around if I manage to get the Master Collection card, which I think I'll be able to get the Master Collection card. Let's have a look at my dust count. So on my dust count, I've got 13,600 dust, so I probably would be able to get the Master Collection card. If I only get the Master Collection card and the support card, I'll be using those ones to actually create a deck that can do quite a bit of damage. So the deck is a mystic deck, and we have got a few mystic relic, no light mystic relic, but a few mystic relic. We have got a few light, well, I've got loads of light Slayer relic, so no problem there. But that's your deck for this week. I'll be putting together a few deck combos tomorrow, and hopefully we have got the Master Collection card so we can feature this deck in action. So like, subscribe, and as always, is Octane saying peace and have a great day. Thanks. Bye.